For more on this, let's bring in former candidate for U.S. Senate in Arizona and Pinal County, Arizona Sheriff Mark Lamb, along with former DHS senior advisor and retired Air Force Colonel Berney Flowers. Good to see you both. Sheriff, I want to start with you here. A lot of different avenues we can go down, but what stands out to me is when your country's economy depends on the United States, you better comply with some things, no?
Yeah, I think so. And he clearly showed there's a new sheriff in town, to use that old adage. Look, we've been, for the last 4 years, other countries have been bullying America, and we've just been kowtowing. And frankly, the previous administration had a horrible, intentional open border plan. That's all changing now. And these countries are going to figure out really fast they better get in line, just like Colombia did, because we're not having any part of this. And you saw how swift President Trump was to place sanctions and tariffs on these guys, and look at how fast they responded. So I expect to see more of this, or I hope that the other countries will just get in line.
Colonel, I want to get your thoughts, considering that you were a former senior advisor to the DHS under Alejandro Mayorkas. How are you viewing what's been happening even in this past week?
Bob and Katrina, thank you guys for having me on. I'm enjoying this. I'm a big Trump supporter, always have been. When I was working for the government, I had to keep my mouth closed, but I don't have to anymore. And this is exactly what has to be done. They came here illegally, and now they're going to leave legally. And as far as what's going on down in Colombia, how dare they defy the United States of America?
Colonel, since you were in there and couldn't open up your mouth and speak your mind, like, what were some of the things going on behind the scenes you disagreed with, or could it have been fixed under the previous administration?
Well, what was going on mostly from where I stood was the budget. The issue of the day is we were taking money away from legitimate causes. We were taking money away from Customs and Border Patrol and ICE and giving it to NGOs and things that I don't think the American people would be happy with. And I had to sit there and watch it. Oh, by the way, the reason I left is because I wouldn't take the jab. That's another problem we have. But the issue of the day is that things are getting better day by day. Mr. Trump is doing what needs to be done. His job is to protect the American people. And I am just thrilled to see it happening.
Sheriff Lamb, I'm sure that you are also thrilled. We've spoken to you so many times over the past couple years during this administration about just the frustration that you and many of your colleagues were experiencing. Tell us a little bit about how the future is looking now.
Well, first of all, it's an honor to be on this interview with a great American like that, what we have right there. And look, I'm thrilled because we saw so much drugs, so many gang members, so many people from all these different countries that were not being vetted. You know, J.D. Vance, the vice president, was just doing an interview with one of the mainstream medias, and boy, they were such shills and such mouthpieces for the propaganda, trying to argue with him, telling that people were being vetted properly. They were not. At its height, the Border Patrol was telling me they were able to vet maybe 5% of these people. So we had no idea who was coming in. We know gang members and criminals were coming in. We know terrorists were coming in. We know that drugs were coming in. So it was beyond frustrating. Like you said, Katrina, I've been a huge voice against all of these open border policies. So for me, I'm thrilled to see we're taking our country back and we're putting Americans first finally.
I want to get to something else here, Colonel, bring this to light to everybody, because we know part of what President Trump is doing is designating cartels terrorist organizations. So we got some breaking news earlier just today. Authorities in the U.S. and Mexico, they've issued an urgent warning for travelers crossing the border between the United States and Mexico after reports that, get this, cartel members, they've been placing explosives along the roadways in a Mexican town just across the border from Brownsville, Texas, all the way down south. Colonel, how do we handle this? What do we do? What should happen?
Well, the thing is that, first of all, that's a threat to our troops. If you noticed that the Marine Corps has been sent down there, and we have a lot of experience in Iraq and Afghanistan and operating environments like that. So if they want to start it, bring it on. But I don't think it'll turn out so well for them. Going against the United States government and the United States military and DOD is never a good idea for anybody. So I don't want to see anybody get hurt, but these people are amateurs compared to what Mr. Trump is sending down there. I have no worries.
All right. I also want to ask you about this, Sheriff. We know that federal agents have reportedly arrested dozens of members of the violent Venezuelan migrant gang Tren de Aragua at what they're calling a makeshift nightclub in Denver, Colorado. Now, this news comes just a few months after the gang terrorized residents. You're looking at some imagery there. After the gang terrorized residents in this apartment complex in nearby Aurora. And of course, we know that Tren de Aragua has infiltrated much of the United States. And this is a gang that we know that the president is planning to deport and get rid of as soon as possible.
Well, not just this gang, but there's a lot of other criminals. But this gang in particular has caught a lot of media attention because of how emboldened they were under the last very weak administration. They're not going to like the colonel said, the consequences of being here illegally and being gang members and doing anything illegal or against Americans in this country. They need to be rounded up and sent back. Look, I was recently talking to one of my friends just a couple days ago, who is a ICE agent out in the Dallas area. And he says, man, this is fantastic. The first day I had 3 or 4 arrests of gang members and criminals. They're able to actually go out and do their job where before they were actually releasing these people in the community. So this is a real nice change. It's only been a week, but I can't wait to see what the president does over time.
It feels like it's been longer than a week.
I can't believe it is. I mean, a week exactly today.
Yes, and I don't want to sound corny. Oh, he has got a lot done.
Yes, he did.
Week. It's incredible. Sheriff Colonel, we appreciate you both coming on Monday here. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you both.
Thanks for having us.